How we doing, everybody? You should be able to hear me now. Hope we're doing okay. Oh man, YouTube's being a little bit annoying right now. I apologize if I apologize if I've specifically the live chat is being annoying because right now I'm uploading a video to a second channel of mine that I utilize Patreon stuff for. Right, I utilize that channel for Patreon stuff. Um, and One sec. Of course. Basically, I use that channel for Patreon stuff. I have something that I'm going to be putting on my Patreon. It's going to be a sparring critique of somebody who sent me a video, and it's going to go on the main channel, but it's not going to go on the main channel for a little bit. I'm putting it on the Patreon for a little while, and then obviously I'm going to send it to the guy who sent me the original video, and because of that, like, it's just being weird, right? But we're just about good. We're just about good. It's gonna unfuck itself shortly. What's going on, Spike Protein, New Division? What's going on, Velocit Delarge? How are you? JC Pliskin. Excuse me. So, this is a call-in stream, okay? We're going to be doing call-ins today. We're not going to start the call-ins for a little bit, maybe like 15 or so minutes, 15, 20 minutes. But when we do, what you're going to want to do if you decide you want to call in is you're going to want to click on the Discord invite. That's how we are going to be doing this. And what you're going to want to do, okay, is you're going to want to jump in the waiting room and I'll pull you in. Now, when you jump in the waiting room, what I want you to do is to leave a 1 in the chat, okay? Because when you leave a 1 in the chat, that's basically going to save your place. I'm going to know, okay, this person was in before that person. So I'm not going to accidentally have people cutting the line and things like that. Obviously, we do not want that. So yeah, there's that. You can talk about whatever, whether it's fight related, not fight related, you just want to say hello, stuff like that. The only thing I ask is that you keep it YouTube friendly, all right? No bad words now. No bad words, okay? And other than that, we'll just chill. We'll have a good time. It is President's Day, and because of this, I do not have training tonight. I do not have the gym tonight, so I figured I would use this free day off to have a little bit of fun with you guys. Just do our thing, and here I am now. As you can see, this is the official President's Day stream because it ended up, I forget exactly what I titled it. I think it was like Nixon was right or something like that. I actually believe that. I don't think President Nixon was really that bad of a president. And trust me, I don't study into him that hard or anything like that. But when it comes down to it, what did he get bopped for? It was Watergate. What was Watergate? Well, he sent some people in to basically do corporate espionage of some type, right, on the Democrat Party, which I'm not even saying I condone. That's not a good thing. You literally sent people to burglarize a place. But with that said, on the other hand, how much worse shit do we see all the time? How much worse stuff do we see constantly, all the time, every time? In modern day American politics. Even back then, there was some like crazy stuff going on, right? The more things change, the more things stay the same at the end of the day. I don't think Nixon was probably as bad as they want us to believe. And I think part of the reason why Watergate was such a big deal is because Nixon was probably not at least as much of a member of the what people are calling the swamp as they would have liked for him to be. So because of that, they had to get him the hell out of there. I mean, at the end of the day, like one of the big things that he did that was a good thing was he ended up helping to alienate China from Russia, which was a big move in the Cold War. In addition to that, I don't think it was a bad thing for him to bomb Cambodia. I'm just going to be completely honest with you. I'm letting my John McCain neocon run free right now. It's not that I actually support, say, like the Vietnam War or anything like that. I'm just saying that since we were in the Vietnam War and we were trying to win, why did we bomb Cambodia? Well, it's because Cambodia was allowing Viet Cong and the North Vietnamese army to transport troops and supplies through their territory. So if they aren't going to police themselves, well, we have to protect ourselves and our interests in the region, don't we? Yeah. You can talk about all this stuff like concerning, the Vietnam War and stuff like that. Like I said, I don't really condone the Vietnam War. I don't really support the Vietnam War. However, at the same time, on the other side, domino theory wasn't completely and totally incorrect when you think about it. I mean, multiple governments in that region turned communist, right? They turned communist with the help of the Soviets as well as the Chinese. So, it really makes you think, right? It's really complicated at the end of the day, and I don't have the biggest grasp of it. But since I happen to mention Nixon, since I happen to mention old Dick, right? Old Dick Nixon, I figured I'd talk about that because it really annoys the hell out of me seeing him be the butt of the joke when, if you actually look into the guy, he was actually like a really intelligent dude who was honestly one of us. He was kind of one of us. He didn't really get along with people, you know. He was the type of dude. He liked to stay shut in and not deal with all these fucking dickheads and things like that. And he did something that by today's standards, and I would be willing to bet even by the standards of the 1970s, was very tame compared to the things that were going on in U.S. politics. I mean, here's a piece of trivia for you, and I am going to get to that super chat, by the way. Thank you very much, Smoking Foos PvP Chad. Smoking Foos PvP Chad. Thank you very much for the $20. I'm going to get to your super chat in a second, but here's a little bit of trivia for you. In the 1970s, I believe it was the Carter administration, if I remember correctly. It was either Carter or Ford. I forget which. Was Carter? Shoot. You see, now I'm second guessing the dates and the people and things like that. But someone in the 1970s, one of the presidencies in the 1970s, was actually considering relaxing the war on drugs. They actually considered legalizing marijuana and maybe rethinking this whole war on drugs thing. And then all of a sudden it came out that one of their advisors or something like that did coke at a party. And because of that, they said that they would not legalize weed, right? Which is crazy to think about, but that's how politics works. I don't even like weed. I don't think it should be necessarily illegal, though, right? And full disclosure, I'm an investor in the weed industry. I invest money in the weed industry. That's my portfolio is mainly weed stocks right now because I'm betting. All my eggs are in one basket, and I'm okay with that because when weed is legalized, I 100% believe that it will end up going through the roof. It'll blast a hole in the moon, and it'll keep on going. So I'm totally cool with putting all my eggs in one basket and messing around with it right now, right? But even outside of that, it's like, okay, I don't like weed. I don't like mega stoners who are annoying about it. But also, I don't think people should be getting locked up for it, for the most part, right? Excuse me. Anyway, Smoking Foos, damn, I can't read your name, bro. Smoking Foos, PvP Chad, tipped $20. Thank you very much, man. Thank you so much, dude. What's the Patreon? I sent the sparring footage and wanna support. Oh, dude, you sent the sparring footage? I was gonna send you that for free. I hadn't gotten around to uploading the video until just now. So I'm gonna send that to you a little bit after this, right? But if you are interested, right? I'll go ahead and I'll leave a thing, a thing with the stuff, a link in the description for. I'm all screwed up. There should be a link in the description of this video for my Patreon, but just in case, I'll go ahead. All right. I'll go ahead and I'll post it in the chat right now, okay? If you guys are interested, it's $5 a month. You get access to a bunch of different content. There's a bunch of interviews for Satanists. There's about to be a skinhead interview on there. There's going to be another Satanist interview on there. In addition to that, there's I make griefing videos every now and again. I actually want to get started on a new one on the sooner side if I can. I got a couple of griefing videos on there. One of them is Chris Chan themed. I have a Chris Chan themed griefing video where I mess with people in Call of Duty. What else? What else? There's stories as well. I'm working on a couple story videos, and there is a critique of my most recent fight. That is one that came out, if not this month, then very recently, like within the last month or two. I forget. But anyway, excuse me. Spiked Protein. Yeah, it would be a good idea to pin my Patreon in chat, but the thing is, since this is a call-in stream, I want the Discord invite to be there for the most part. I want the Discord invite to be there. Excuse me, jeez. So I can see we have one person in there. I'm gonna to the person who's in the Discord waiting room right now. I'm probably gonna wait another 5 or so minutes before I end up jumping in. So you're gonna be in there for like 5 or so more minutes. I'm gonna read a little bit of the chat and talk about maybe one or two other things depending on if we have the time. But oh yeah, wait a second. I just realized I have to actually post the thing to Twitter as well. And if you guys could go ahead and like the stream and also share it to wherever you feel would be a good place to share it to, I would really appreciate it. I would love for this to grow if we could make it grow, right? It's like History Buffs, right? There's a channel called History Buffs. If you like the show, help the channel grow, right? So ELEFKK LFK. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Are you doing martial arts Q&A today? Yeah, I'm doing Q&A in general, or if you just want to talk about whatever, you can call in and talk about whatever, Vietnam was justified because cool movies were made about it. That is the ultimate red pill, JC Pliskin. That is the ultimate red pill. Spike Protein says, I made $55,000 on weed picks in 2020. It's a really great area to be in. Yes, exactly. It's a really great area to be in because I think regardless of how the stock market is doing, it will end up doing very well if and when it is legalized. And I do believe it's going to be legalized in our lifetime. In fact, I think it'll probably be legal in the next 5 years, right? I'm not a pro. Like, don't take this as any form of don't take this as any form of advice, especially not monetary or investing advice, right? But I have a feeling that over the next 5 years, it'll probably end up being legal. I mean, every time there's some kind of election, more and more states are legalizing, so it's only a matter of time until it's legalized federally. I'm actually kind of hoping that Biden gets so desperate that he legalizes weed as like a last-ditch, like, Hail Mary play, right? That would be fantastic. Because even though the stock market, to my understanding, is not doing that well right now, all it's going to take is that just waking up and seeing the front page and just waiting for all of the idiot boomers to be like, oh, weed's legal. I remember Woodstock. I'm going to invest. And they end up investing and, you got in on the ground floor, right? That's what I'm hoping will end up happening. And, I'm so, confident in that I don't feel a need to have my money really in anything else. And in fact, I got to start putting money back into stocks and things like that because every time it goes low, I just think buy the dip, right? Slippin' Jimmy says, hey, Scott, I'm almost a 3-stripe white belt in jiu-jitsu. My coach wants me to focus on breathing and exploding to improve my position. Any other tips on the way to blue belt? Love your streams. Yeah, dude, I think your coach is correct. You want to breathe deep and you want to explode all over the other guy. Look, white belt to blue belt is really interesting. And one thing I want you to understand is that you still aren't going to be someone who really knows that much on when you get your blue belt, right? Now, I know this probably isn't the advice that you're thinking of, that I was going to give, right? And I will give you other advice, but just remember, right, you don't know that much yet. You're going to feel like you do because at the end of the day, compared to the average person, you could beat the hell out of them in ways they didn't even realize, right? But I'm telling you this because I want you to keep an open mind, and it's also going to help you for the other advice that I'm going to give you. You want to work new things that you are not 110% comfortable with. And I mean things that you really don't like. Like me, I didn't like Spider Guard. I resisted learning Spider Guard for a long time. And don't get me wrong, I'm still not a Spider Guard guy, but I know Spider Guard halfway decent now. I can work Spider Guard in a halfway decent way now, and it has opened up my horizons so much. It has opened up everything so much for me, right? So even though it's not really like a technical thing, this is advice that you need ASAP. And I am working on a video that is going to be advice for jiu-jitsu white belts, or basically just new jiu-jitsu practitioners. And when that does come out, definitely try to watch it, because there's a lot more general advice in there. But yeah, what your coach said about practicing your breathing, or not practicing, but controlling your breathing and exploding to improve your position, is really good advice. And he probably explained this to you. But the reason why is because jiu-jitsu is a very slow art. Or what I should say, it's very slow, and then it becomes very fast, and then it becomes very slow again. It's stable, 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 explosion, stable, 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 right? That's how grappling cardio is, right? And that's why if you see me versus Sam, right? Even though Sam won that match, he ended up getting an Americana on me, and I tried to explode out, but I didn't, because I tried to do it too late. Sam was more tired than I was after that match, and it's because I really am good at controlling my breathing and only moving when I know, like, okay, I can improve my position right now, right? And that's kind of what he means by that. If you didn't exactly get the explanation from him, and in addition to that, to anyone else who's like, oh, hey, to anyone else who has never been told that, right? So there's one thing that I think is like really, important. Chef Doodoo, and don't worry, whoever's in the, we're gonna get to it after this, okay? We're gonna get to the call-ins after this. But Chef Doodoo says, as a total beginner, do you think Jiu-Jitsu or Muay Thai would be better to start martial arts with? Those are the two that interest me. You should do both at the same time, and if you can't, then I would say Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because there is a higher learning curve to Jiu-Jitsu than there is Muay Thai. And in addition to that, you don't have to be good to knock somebody out, right? People get lucky all the time. The worst fighter wins in striking matches a lot more often than the worst grappler wins in a grappling match, right? So because of that learning curve, I would say learn jiu-jitsu if you could only do one. But if you could do both, definitely do both at the same time. JC Pliskin, do you recommend no-ghee or ghee for starting BJJ? Yeah, that's a tough one, because, they're both good for different reasons. The thing about, and I promise you, we are going to get started. I'm actually going to pull up Discord now so that we can get started after this. It's just, I saw that question from JC, and it was like such a good question. I want to, I want to make sure I answer that. But, so the thing about no-gi, right, is if you can hold somebody down in a no-gi jiu-jitsu match, when you have a gi to grab, when you have clothing to grab, it's going to be that much easier for you to hold them down. Now, the opposite, or the inverse of that, is if you practice gi jiu-jitsu, right? If you have a gi that he can grab onto, and you're able to escape from bottom on someone who was allowed to grab your clothing to hold you down, when you have somebody who is not allowed to grab your clothing or cannot grab your clothing, it's going to be that much easier to get out. There's other things like no-gi is good because you're training to have less, which means you have less to work with, which means you have to be a little bit more creative and things like that. Like I'm all gi when it comes down to it, right? And it's not necessarily by choice. It's just because that's kind of what's available to me right now. And over time, I've kind of forgotten how to grapple no-gi, not completely, obviously, but just a little bit, right? I've had to start practicing no-gi as time has gone on to kind of get the swing of things back. But every now and again, I get hit with a submission that I would never have thought, right? And it's because in jujitsu, gi jujitsu, there's other submissions you could and by all means would try to hit when you end up in a certain position, right? And the guy who, or having the ability to hit the no-gi submission is actually in some cases better than having the ability to hit the gi submission, because what happens if I get into a fight on a beach? You know, most people don't wear shirts on a beach, especially not jackets, right? So it's like they're good. They're both good. They're both good. I guess if it comes down to it, I would pick no gi after what I was saying. Okay. But let's go ahead. Let's jump into here. Yes. All right. Okay. We should be good. And then. Sorry, I'm just checking. By the way, before I pull this first person in, this is a call-in stream, okay? If you want to call in, the pinned message is a Discord server invite, okay? If you decide you want to call in, you're going to jump into my Discord server, you're going to jump into the waiting room. When you get in the waiting room, put a 1 in the chat. That way I know when you were in there, so I don't end up pulling someone else in front of you by mistake. And we'll go ahead and we'll get to it. But with that said, let's make sure the desktop audio is actually working this time. That way we don't, I don't do what I did yesterday by mistake. All right, we're going to pull the first person in. Hello?
What's up, Shifu Scott?
Yo, what's going on, man?
Nothing much. Just doing some homework right now, but taking a break.
Nice. That's good. What kind of homework you doing?
Just some physiology homework, some just boring shit.
Oh, nice.
But
Is that like high school or college classes?
college.
Oh, nice. Not bad. What are you going to college for?
Oh, dude, I don't know if I want to say you. Sam hates it. It's nursing.
Nursing? Ah,
Nursing, yeah, nursing gets a bad rep.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Like nurses, I'm not a big fan of them either. But I don't hate the idea of nursing, right? If you can get paid like really good to like hand out pills and change bedpans and do other like stuff like that, like you might as well, you know.
Yeah,
And
that
then
that's what I was thinking.
yeah, yeah, I don't hate the grind of being a nurse. What annoys me is like when there's like dickhead nurses. Like my not to go off on a tangent. I'm sure there's things that you like wanted to talk about, but my brother-in-law, he had a heart issue. He like he had these like crazy like palpitations and things like that, and he was up to like 200 beats per minute. He was going blind, like low blood pressure. We bring him to the hospital, and the nurses are just like completely unconcerned. They're treating him like he's like an annoyance and things like that. Like that's the type of shit that you get from nurses sometimes. That it's like, you see, this is why I don't fucking like you guys. But I don't have a problem with like nursing, in and of itself.
Yeah, and I want to do psych nursing, so it's not like I'm dealing with sick people. It's more so like just homeless, just fucking babysitting homeless people. That's like the field I want to get into, basically. Just giving them pills.
It sounds like a good way to meet friends, a good way to meet some new
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, but what I wanted to talk about was cause I sent you the sparring footage, but I don't want to. I know you talked a lot about it already, on in the video. So I just wanted to see like if my schedule is good. Like, what should I be like doing for strength and conditioning? I I run for 45 minutes like every other day. I lift 2 to 3 times a week. I do jiu-jitsu 5 times a week, and I do Muay Thai 3 times a week. So I don't know if I'm doing everything right, because my goal is to fight next year. It's just that my striking's kind of taking long to develop right now. But I have a good amount of like grappling experience I've been doing for a while.
Okay, yeah. I mean, you seem like you got kind of a full schedule right now. It really lifting is not a bad thing to do. I will just say be careful with it. That's actually something else Sam talks about is like, depending on the types of lifting you're doing, it's it can be really bad for your back and things like that. But lifting as a whole, I don't think is necessarily the worst thing to do for your strength and conditioning. One thing I will say is, and this will probably happen eventually with your coach, he'll probably when you're starting to get ready for fights, he'll probably kind of try and push you away from the lifting, at least temporarily. And there will probably be other strength and conditioning exercises that he starts having you do. Um, the running, the running, you didn't specify what kind of running it is. I would assume it's distance running, and if it is, distance running isn't necessarily a bad thing. But what can also be good is sprints. Wind sprints can be a good thing. Um, they help you to kind of build and retain muscle. I know that. I'm not really like my strength and conditioning knowledge is sort of I don't know if spotty is the right word, but it's I haven't like undergone any like certifications or anything like that, right? It's mainly just stuff that I've learned over the years from fighting. Um, but like I don't really think I hear any. I guess what kind of lifting are you doing, right?
I'm doing because I'm scared if I do like compound lifts that I'm gonna fuck my shit up. So I'm doing more like bodybuilding style, like a lot of high reps, dumbbells and machines. That's two to three times a week. And then with the sprinting, I try to like do that only once a week just because I feel so sore after, like pushing my body that much. Like my legs feel demolished after. But with the distance running, I do it on a treadmill, so it's not that bad on my legs. And I just try to go for more time rather than like distance. So it's like 45 minutes to an hour sometimes of just continuously running.
Hmm. Okay. So the weightlifting, right? You don't necessarily want to lift like a bodybuilder does. If you see bodybuilders when they try and fight and things like that, like you especially see it when they throw uppercuts or hooks, right? If I throw a hook, right, it's gonna be like that. If I throw an uppercut, it's gonna be like that. When they throw hooks and uppercuts, they literally go down and then up like they're throwing a or not throwing anything, like they're curling dumbbells, right? Bodybuilding is good for putting on mass, and naturally there's going to be strength associated with that. But the reason why I mentioned that as you get closer to fighting, your coach is probably going to have you shy away from the lifting is because there's other strength and conditioning exercises that are going to utilize functional movements that will hopefully not, or not even hopefully, they just won't have as much of an effect on the neural pathways in your brain, right? So that you won't eventually start throwing uppercuts like you're trying to curl a dumbbell. But then in addition to that, it won't have an effect, or at least as much of an effect on, say, like your flexibility or your speed or anything like that. When people down talk weightlifting, that's usually what they're talking about, even if they don't say it. What I was doing in 2020, and I did it the wrong way, and I fucked myself up. Don't do it the wrong way. I was doing 5x5 strong lifts, so it's high rep, right? But it is those lifts like squats, deadlifts. I tried to avoid just straight up bench press. I did like different different like presses, like military press style stuff. Um, incline stuff, not like straightforward, but more like that, sitting on the bench. Um, and I did curls, but I did them in a very specific way. I didn't do like curls, right? I basically my coach told me to do this, right? So you have them down here, right? And instead of going like that, you basically throw them like uppercuts, right? This is
Mm.
something that my coach, who was a bodybuilder and then he got into MMA, he actually won Mr. Massachusetts in the 90s. That's how he told me to do them, right? That's kind of how I was lifting. I don't know if that sounds good to you. I don't know if you're interested in that, but if I was to lift again, which I would like to, that's probably how I do it. For the sprints, I understand you don't need to absolutely kill yourself right now. You know, you want to avoid absolutely trying to murder your body right now. You should only be doing that when it comes time to get ready for a fight, right? So I don't think it's a bad thing to to be doing sprints only once a week. One thing you could also do is you could substitute it for a stationary bike. You can basically you take that wind sprint sort of cadence, I guess you could say, and you apply it to the bike. It's much better for your knees, definitely. That might be you'll still probably feel it, but at least it won't be as much impact on your knees. Other than that, Sunday Mimosa Club, somebody who's been here since day one, what's going on, man? He said you should spar more, get more technical sparring in, and I definitely agree with that. I liked you're gonna see it in the video. I liked the sparring that I saw from you and your guy. You weren't trying to kill each other. That's the kind of sparring that I think you should be focusing on right now. But yeah, I mean, you don't seem like you got a bad setup. There's just personally a couple tweaks that I would make if I had that schedule, and just keep at it.
One last thing before I go.
Yeah.
What kind of like solo drills should I be doing for my striking? Because I feel like that's one thing I like am missing is like working on my striking by myself. I don't want to just be hitting the bag because I don't know. I heard it like you develop um bad
Habits.
traits, I guess. Yeah, habits just by like sitting there and just laying in on the bag. But I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, you can develop bad habits hitting the bag alone, but you can also develop bad habits shadow boxing alone. And people tell you all the time, you should shadow box. When you're not at the gym, you should shadow box. Um, you should hit the bag. You should hit the bag in different ways, though. You should practice individual punches. You should be treating the bag as though it's a sparring partner. And what I mean by that is when you hit the bag, it's going to swing back and forth, right? You shouldn't like hit the bag and then stop it and then like hit it again, right? You should like hit the bag, it swings back, then it swings back towards you. Maybe you practice some kind of head movement. You start treat it like it's a person who's trying to throw a punch at you and you have to get out of the way and now you're at a new angle, right? So you have to utilize that angle. Um, a lot of people when they develop bad habits on the bag, it's typically because they aren't hitting it the right way in the first place, right? They don't know like the mindset to have and the method that they're going to utilize it, right? There's other ways to hit the bag and stuff like that, but that's usually the way that I go about it. Um, Other than that, shadow box, shadow box, shadow box, shadow box, and don't just shadow box in the mirror. Although that is good, right? You should do it, but you should also shadow box out of the mirror, envisioning an opponent, right? That is a big piece of it. I don't know if you plan on doing kickboxing or MMA or both, but like you should shadow box in the way that you would in whatever match you're preparing for. So what I would do is striking and then maybe throw some oh, excuse me, jeez,
Like some shots in there?
yeah, like shooting in for takedowns, sprawling, stuff like that. Me when I shadow box at home, I'm usually doing it on pavement, so I can't exactly go knee to the ground, but um, shadow boxing is very important. Other than that, there are a couple of drills that I could show you, but the thing is, it'd be kind of hard to do that here right now. So maybe I could try to film them and send them to you or something like that. Like I said, I have your socials. I'm gonna send you the sparring video, that you asked me to critique. A little bit after this, so I could try over the next week to do something like that if you remind me.
Yeah, that would be awesome, like some footwork or something.
Cool. Yeah, we can do that.
Awesome. Awesome, bro. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, man. Have a good one.
See you, bro.
All right, so that was a good one. That was a good one to get the day started. I feel like I'm on today, guys. I feel like I'm on, right? I'm not. I had work today, but I'm not all like fucked up. I'm feeling good. We're feeling good right now. It must be the Adderall that I snorted. No, that's a joke. I don't actually snort Adderall. I don't do drugs. I drink sometimes. But anyway, actually, I'm gonna bring the next caller in a second. I just want to read the chat a little bit. Okay, I see who is up next. All right, don't go anywhere. I'm gonna pull you in just a second. Marco Esquandolas says, serious question. How would you suggest a 40-year-old newly ex-drunk coming off of a 1 out of 5 day, a fifth a day? Oh, coming off a fifth a day, a fifth of alcohol a day, who weighs 260 at 6'3", completely out of shape and gets winded walking across the house. Recommendations? Take it easy. All right, take it easy. Now, me, like, I'm very big on suffering when it comes down to it, but you got to suffer the right way. And if you're absolutely that fucked up as to where you're getting winded just walking across the house, maybe it's not time to suffer in the way that you're going to go for like a mile run or something like that. Maybe you got to start off with just like walking, right? You got to start off with walking. And if you're gonna do like any kind of boxing and stuff like that, like if you watch archive footage, I think there's some archive footage of me training Airsoft Fatty in season 1 on Fish Tank. Yeah, me training Airsoft Fatty in Fish Tank season 1. I think there's a little bit of that on my channel. You'll notice we don't push it, right? We're going until he gets tired, and then we're taking a break, and then we're starting up again, right? There's no need to be like, oh, I have to be like a fucking kamikaze about this. I got to go like forward and just not stop. Take your time, take it easy. All right, do what you can. Don't worry about what you can't do, because eventually, if you just keep on doing what you can do, you will be able to do what you can't do. You just got to keep on stacking it, keep on going, right? Just get a bike and cruise around. Yeah, I mean that might not be a bad idea, but the thing is, if the dude's getting winded walking across the house, I don't think a bike is necessarily going to be the best idea right now, because a bike is going to get you way far away from home really quick. So you wherever you go on a bike, you have to go back on the bike. But yeah, anyway, I hope that helps, right? I hope that helps. Oh, LFKK. Oh yeah. Somebody already explained that to you. Morality Designs. Yes, you are my kittens now. You're my Discord kittens. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna pull in the next person. Hello.
What's up, Scout?
What's going
How's it
on?
going?
I'm all right. How are you?
Doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good.
Good.
Um, the main thing I wanted to ask you is like a lot of like fighters and stuff. Like I have this friend, right? He's like 31. He's doing this bare knuckle like MMA like thing on some like shitty like organized event, and like he is, dude, like he's getting knocked out like every time he goes, pretty much. I was wondering what your take is on like the point where you start like worrying about CTE and worrying about like injuries from fighting, and like where do you think the line is where you kind of like tap out into trying to like take care of yourself as opposed to just throwing yourself in the ring with monsters and getting knocked out?
See, that's a tough question because everybody's a little bit different. And even even if like I had a hard line, because me, I don't even know myself. Like I'm pretty messed up from fighting. I've only had like 7 or 8 fights. And then a few like, smokers and things like that weren't supposed to be fights, but people kept going real fucking hard. But like
Right.
me, like I don't feel like I'm done yet. I'm trying my best to put something together where I can lose some weight and then get back in the cage. But there's a lot of people out there, especially when they see my record, where they're like, "Oh, you should just quit or whatever," and it's like, nah, I think you should just fuck off. How about that, right? So it's kind of a situation where like I can tell you're worried about your friend, but I don't think there's going to be anything you can really say to him if he wants to get in
Yeah,
there.
dude, he won't
Yeah.
listen.
Um. Now.
But it's just like watching it happen is pretty brutal because like I can like say like he's like I've known this guy for like 2 or 3 years. I've never fought to where I was like getting knocked out regularly, but like the events he's going to are particularly brutal, and man, it's just like fuck, dude. I can see him like slurring his words now and like just like like messes with the pain meds on and off. Like it's just a fucked like situation to be in. But he like he keeps wanting to fight. He wants to get in there. And I mean I get it. I totally get it. But it's just like at a point I just you're just hurting your brain. It's it's like a weird thing. It's like a weird thing to try to weigh the two, weighing like your physical health along with your your mental health, your want to get in and your want to fight and your want to do something and use your body and all this training that you've done throughout the years. That's like epitomized in you being this like machine from training, and like giving it up. I know is really hard, but like I don't know how most fighters do it. I'm sure most people have like coaches and doctors and stuff that tell them, but for people that are just like fighting in like shitty leagues, like they don't, those guys don't have any of that. I don't know. I don't know if there is an answer for something like that. I think it's pretty fucked sometimes.
Yeah. Nobody gets out of life alive, man. At the end of
Yeah,
the day.
yeah, sure,
Like,
that's
like
true.
I understand, and like I don't know what the deal with your buddy is. I don't know if he like from the sound of it, it almost sounds like he doesn't actually train. I don't know if he does, and
He
again from the
he
sound
doesn't
of it, it
train a ton.
also, huh?
He doesn't train a ton. No, he really doesn't. He's
Yeah,
used to train a lot. Now he's basically just like he's getting in these matches and then he gets like knocked out and fucked up and then he's like taking Percocets for like a week or two that he's like getting from like stockpiles, and then
yeah,
he's like
yeah.
going back out and fighting again. And then if you like tell him anything about it, he's like I'm trying to like make a career out of it. Like he gets like pissy about it. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
not a good situation.
You see that this is one of the harsh realities of the fight game, and this is why I have kind of changed the way that I look at things and the way that I do things. 10 years ago, when in fact the 10-year anniversary of my first fight was last month. I didn't even remember the date. I wanted to like make an announcement or something like that, but I
Right.
didn't. I
The
forgot.
party.
The fight game is weird, and the fight game is annoying because you have these people who are constantly just looking for a way to take advantage of other people, and they're looking for ways to take advantage of people who are well-meaning and they want to try their best to do something legitimate. And that happened to me, right? When I first started fighting, I had this like anyone, anytime, anywhere kind of outlook, and that got me beat up in my first fight. I told the story on PKA a little bit, and I'm gonna tell the story more in depth in when I do it for my Patreon. Shill alert, shilling that again, but
That's a good show, bro. That's how you make money.
basically I ended up taking a fight with a guy who was way out of my league at the time, and this guy had lied about his experience in order to get a fight with somebody like me, somebody who had that anyone, anytime, anywhere sort of personality to him, so that he could have an easy win. And I wouldn't say it was the easiest win, but I also got beat up for the better part of 3 rounds before I got submitted. So It was a really ugly fight, and then
Yeah, that
I
sucks.
guess I was too hard for the guy because the next fight he took a guy who was even worse than I was at the time. So I think what could potentially be happening to your buddy is he has stars in his eyes to a degree, but then in addition to that, he also is being taken advantage of. I don't. I would
I
assume it's a
agree.
legit.
I agree with that take.
I would assume it's a legit promotion that he is fighting at. Do you know the name of the
Yeah.
promotion, or do you not want to? If you don't want to say it, it's fine. But do you know the name of the
No, no,
promotion?
it's fine. I don't want to dox him. I think it's like it's just called like BKFC like Southeast or something like that.
Oh,
Um,
BKFC.
yeah, he's fighting like prelims on these
Mm,
or like low cards on these fights.
mm. Yeah,
Um, he has
I tried out for
he has
BK.
sorry.
Go no, go ahead, go ahead. It's fine.
I would say he has like a little team around him, but it's like two or three. I don't know much about like the intricacies of like his whole operation he's got going on. He's not like a really tight friend or anything, but I know he has like he has like a legit trainer and like a coach. Like he has like a corner when he goes to these fights. But I mean he gets fucked up bad, dude. Like I've seen him get fucked up bad like 4 times going to these things in the past year, and it's just brutal. Like I don't see him like I don't see him like coming up and like, and that's not like me not having faith in my friend. That's just like seeing what goes on, and he's like still fighting in these fights that he just hasn't really gained much ground in, and they haven't kicked him off the promotion. And obviously he wants to do it because he wants to make a career out of it. He wants to be a fighter. He wants to, I don't know. It's a weird thing. I could see him like falling apart though. Is the thing. And I don't think there's any way that I could actually like get through to him and like tell him like, hey, dude, you're falling apart. I don't think he's receptive to it. So I don't know. It's just a weird thing. It's like you don't want to screw your friend over by like destroying his ambitions, but like also you don't want to see him die or get addicted to pain meds. So
Yeah, I tried out for BKFC in 2021. They offered me a fight. I ended up not taking it because shortly after I tried out, there was such a horrible mismatch that somebody ended up dying. Somebody died
geez,
clearly from the mismatch. It's not that I wouldn't fight for BKFC. It's that if I was, it would have to be for money that they would not want to pay me because I'm just some fucking guy who technically doesn't even have a pro, or technically, I don't have a pro record, and I have like no clout. Like I don't think they're gonna
yeah,
see the 62 viewers that I have on my stream and be like, oh, let's give them the Bryce Mitchell money, right?
yeah. No, it's
But
it's it's like a laughable amount of money from what I've heard. It's like
yeah,
a few hundred.
yeah, it's probably 2,000 to show and then 1,000 or 2,000 to win, which is definitely not worth it. And I think
I think that's
if your boy was to continue fighting, I think he needs a better team around him. And I don't necessarily even mean better trainers and things like that. I think he needs a better manager or a better negotiating team because I said this recently. I don't think there's a such thing as bad fighters. I think there's mismatches. I think there's like bad performances and like there's bad luck and things like that. At the end of the day, I think this dude, and I'm not saying he could be like the best ever dude, but I think there's a situation that is brewing with him where he is being made into a journeyman for dudes that are better than him. Um, and because of that, he keeps taking fights thinking that, oh, this is my foot in. I'll get a better fight after this. I'll get a better fight after this. And then they keep offering him dudes that are killers.
Yeah, he
Um,
he has said that. Like, he's even said that. He says that he's getting like he's kind of getting the
yeah.
punching bag treatment, I think is what he said at one point.
Yeah, he's you know
Um,
he's trying to get his foot in the door, but because he doesn't have anybody who will advocate for him, he keeps getting given names that are not good. One thing that you'll hear from dudes is they'll say, or you hear this from dudes and managers, they'll say, "Hey, I need a fight that makes sense," right? And that's what he needs is fights that make sense.
right. Yeah, I mean that's good advice. That's a good thing. I that's a good thing to tell him, I guess. dude, it's just fucked. It's so fucked sometimes. Um, I do think it's probably a situation in which they're like taking advantage of him to put him on things that like he's like one of the last picks in the league, it seems like to me. Like he's getting his fights like not enough prep time, like, and I don't even think he's making a lot of money from it at all. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's just it's on one hand you can admire like the dedication in something that's like so brutal, and he's not getting any immediate rewards from, and the possibility that he could make it into a career. But at the same time, just watching someone just get punched in the face over and over again as they're getting older and just brutalized, and then the whole like Percocet deal, or it's just like I see the beginning of a fucked scenario of a failed fighter, and it's hard to kind of weigh the like is it something that you go in just massively supporting of, or is it something that you try to make them aware of the reality of like, hey, you're taking pain meds, you're getting your ass kicked, and these like probably, I couldn't really tell you how like matched the fights are or not, because I'm not like a great fight analyst or anything like that. But it does seem like he's getting his ass kicked more than the other people, like at the events I've gone to, which is only like four or so. It seems like he gets his ass kicked like disproportionately more than some of the other people fighting with him. So I don't know. I don't know what the best like course is, or how to think about it, or how to deal with it. I don't want to be a dick, but like
Yeah.
it's I don't know.
Yeah. I'm gonna say this, and then we're gonna pull somebody else into the call.
Sure.
Your friend, at the end of the day, it's gonna be his decision, right? And you don't want to be overbearing, right? I know you care about him, and you
Yeah.
just want him to be, healthy and things like that. And if he is not stupid, he will recognize that. But I would tell him, as lightly as you could, right, that he probably needs to find a better manager, or he needs to be willing to ask them. He needs to be willing to try and negotiate with them, because if he was going to get his foot in the door, he would have had it in by now. It wouldn't be 4 or 5 fights where they gave him killers. It would have been,
Right.
maybe a fight or two where, he had a tough fight, and then maybe they would have tried to build him up in some way, shape, or form. I don't think it's going to be the greatest idea to try and tell him that he needs to stop, because that's like telling a teenager they're going through a phase, right?
Yeah.
They're just going to be like, no, no, I'm not. And then they're going to go dye their hair a darker shade of black, or like a lighter shade of pink, or something like that, right? I know I've been there before, especially when it's a non-fighter who's telling you that type of thing. It's like, what the fuck do you know, dickhead? Like, that's what
Right.
goes on inside your head, right? Just try to I don't want to say dance around it, but try to be as light on your feet about it as you possibly can. Try not to stomp around with it, and just let them know, like, hey, like, if you want to keep fighting, that's all good. That's your choice, but you should probably be smarter about this whole situation, because you don't want to end up like fucked up. And you could even mention the perks and be like, man, like, it kind of worries
It,
me a little
that's the
bit that.
main thing. If that wasn't an element, it like wouldn't worry me, but we like, I don't know, dude. I've fucked with the opiates. Those things are really hardcore.
Hmm.
Like I can see someone who's a fighter who's in pain a lot just getting so hooked on that shit. That's like the main thing that worries me. If that wasn't an element, it wouldn't really be as big of a deal to me. But
Oh yeah. Well, good luck to you, and good luck to your friend.
yeah,
I
thank you
hope
so
I
much,
hope
man.
everything
Thanks for
works
the
out for
advice.
you guys.
Yeah, for sure. I'll see you, dude.
Peace out, man. Well, he saw himself out. Yeah, that's such an awful element of the fight world, and again, that's part of the reason why I shifted my focus and things like that. Because when I first got involved, I was like, dude, we're doing this. We're doing this. UFC tomorrow. I'm getting the UFC tomorrow, bro. And then I had a few fights, and I realized, like, okay, for one thing, it's going to be a lot harder than I expected, obviously, right? I was foolish for thinking it would be that easy. But two, in addition to that, like, the way things work, it is very screwed up. The fight game is not what it used to be. When I originally saw the fight game, specifically MMA, it was just a bunch of tough dudes who had some training, whether it was elite level training or if they were just some dudes who got into it and they were like, hey, let's fucking do this, right? They had some training, but over and above all, they were just tough, scrappy dudes who really wanted to fight. And because of that, they just got together and they fought whoever was available. And it wasn't about who was going to help to further anyone's career or anything like that. It wasn't about trying to have a stepping stone, fighting a journeyman so that you could make it to the UFC and things like that. That's not what it was about, right? It was about who is available, who can I fight? That guy, all right, let's fight him. Let's fight each other, you know? And the game was so much better back then. In addition to that, the game in the game was. I don't need to get too deep into this, but another thing too, right, is that there's almost a racket in the MMA world today, as well as the boxing world, where like if you're from some no-name gym, it's going to be a lot harder for you to make it into the UFC than if you were at a gym that has like a pipeline to the UFC. Like there's multiple guys from the UFC that fight out of there. Either that or it's owned by a former guy who still has friendly ties to the promotion and things like that. So because of that, if you are a fighter who goes to a gym that is like known, or it's not known, it's just not known, right? If you're a guy like that, there's less of a chance that you have to make it to the UFC. So you're going to be looking at those gyms where, again, it's like a pipeline to the UFC. They have the connections, they have the phone numbers, and things like that. You're going to end up in this like situation where it's like, ah, man, I got started here. There's really nothing wrong with this gym. Dude, all right, I'm going to that other gym, right? The fight world is fucked. You know, and the more I look at it, even the jiu-jitsu world, it's not just the fight world. The jiu-jitsu world is fucked too. The jiu-jitsu world has become the same way. Seeing it, I'm just like, this fucking bullshit, dude. You know, this isn't what it was supposed to be. This ain't what I signed up for. But the Jack 'em Up Kid, I don't know if you're still here, but thank you very much for the $5, man. I'm sorry that I didn't say anything a little bit earlier. It's just that when I'm in the middle of the calls or when I'm making a point that I absolutely positively, I'm like, yo, I need to make sure that I make this point like eloquently or just in its entirety, right? It's kind of tough for me to feel like I can interrupt what's going on to be like, oh, thank you. But thank you, the Jack 'em Up Kid, for the $5. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much, man. Somebody said 17-year-old, Scratch Coast said 17-year-old Sensei Scott must have been an animal, though. Not really. I wasn't that good, if I'm being honest with you. I was not really that good when I was 17 years old. I had to get knocked down a few times before I got back up and started to become, more of a, more of a tough dude, Yeah, so there's that. Again, we're going to pull the next person in a minute or two, but I'm going to read a couple of chats before we move on. Fighters need branding and WWE-style characters. Honestly, they kind of do. And it sucks today, and this is something I've talked about. Dana White simultaneously wants people to market themselves, and then when people market themselves, he's like, what are you doing, you dummy? It's so frustrating to see. Dana White doesn't push people. He only pushes specific people. And those specific people that he decides he's going to push, those are the people who are allowed to have personalities, right? But if you're not one of the people who he has decided to shine his light on, you're not allowed to have a personality. And if you have a personality, he gets mad at you, right? This is how dude, what's his name? I don't think it's Kevin Holland. It might be Kevin Holland though. Let me check something, right? Let me double check something. I think it's Kevin Holland, right? Kevin Holland. Yeah, no, Kevin Holland, right? I'm just double checking. No, I'm like 99% sure it was Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland does the Contender Series, right? And he's talking shit all throughout the Contender Series. Not only is he fighting and winning the fight, he is showing personality. He's showing an exciting thing in the cage. And Dana White sits there, looks at him, and he's like, dude, I don't want this guy. This guy's not getting in. I don't like this guy. And then, sure enough, Kevin Holland got in anyway off of like a short notice fight or something like that, right? Or something like that. This is Dana White telling the story. He's like, somebody pulled out of a fight. We need to call some people. He called some people. They didn't want to take the fight. And then he's like, all right, I guess we'll call Big Mouth. That's what he called Kevin Holland, was Big Mouth, right? Kevin Holland has a very exciting and fun personality. He's the type of dude who you like him. Even though he's a shit talker, you like him because he's kind of like a jovial dude. He's got a nice personality. And here's Dana White literally saying, "Oh, a personality? I didn't authorize this guy to have a personality. He ain't getting in." And then sure enough, when he's down bad, when he needs a last minute replacement, he's like, fuck, okay, I guess he is getting in. I guess he is getting in. And sure enough, people really like Kevin Holland. But and like the thing is, like I enjoy it's not that I enjoy Dana White. Like I recognize what Dana White did for the sport. Dana White is like you will not have another Dana White. I think when Dana White retires, they're going to have to give the spot to someone like Chael Sonnen. And even then, Chael Sonnen won't be Dana White. But to have somebody who is like the Vince McMahon of MMA is like crazy, you know? And what he did for the sport is... I don't even know how to describe it, right? I'm not anti-Dana White. I don't hate Dana White, but this is one of the aspects of Dana that is, like, crazy to me. It's insane. Excuse me. Great advice. Thank you, Scott. Unique take from you. I can't really get anywhere else. Thank you, Spiked Protein. I don't know exactly what you were referring to. But, you know, thank you. Demetrius Johnson used to work construction 7 to 4 while fighting professionally. He didn't go full-time fighter until he got a UFC title shot against Cruz, LMAO. That's absolutely insane to me. Yes, that's the way it is. That's really the way that it is. Ally Aquinta had to sell houses. He had to do real estate in his spare time, even when he was going to fight Khabib, right? But we'll pull the next person in. Hello? Hello? Hello there. Are you there? Hold on. I don't know if I just can't hear this person or I'm gonna pin them. Not pin them, ping them. I'm gonna pin them. This is a wrestling match we're in right now. I'm gonna give this person another like 10 to 15 seconds to answer me, whether it's audio issues or if they're just not at their desk right now.
What?
Oh. Hello?
You're right.
What's going on, man?
Not so much. Can you hear me now?
What's that? Uh-oh.
Can you hear me there?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you now.
Ah, fantastic. All right, pal. Hey, long-time listener, first-time caller. Look, if you don't mind, just a few sort of things about my background. I started off with Kung Fu when I was in my teens, and then I kind of realized this was bullshit. And then later on, I did some Sistema, which also turned out to be bullshit. And then more recently, I've gone into Muay Thai, which is, presumably an actual martial art. And the main thing that's bugging me, the main thing that's kind of getting in my way, is that I'm closing my eyes too much. Right, I'm sparring with techniques. They're all good enough. My cardio's fine. My technique's fine. Sparring with people, whenever a punch comes in, I can kind of recognize where it's coming from. I know the appropriate block, whether it's high, low, blocking my head, blocking my body, whatever. But I just keep closing my eyes, and I feel like that's kind of the main thing that's holding me back here. And I've tried not being a pussy. So before you say that, I've tried not being an absolute, pussy here. Um, but I don't know, like the reflexive thing of my eyes closing, it just keeps happening. So I was wondering, do you have any drills to prevent that? Any training or any sort of advice to get me to not do this?
Yeah. So one thing that could help is if you hold pads for people, right? Meaning like the focus mitts or the tie pads, right? That could help. Because there's absolutely no danger and you're just getting accustomed to having something flying towards you. Now, it's not going to be flying towards your face. You're going to be holding, out here. So the punches are going to go here, 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 kicks, right? That's one thing that can kind of get you accustomed to the idea of punches and kicks flying into you. It gets you accustomed to the idea of how they're going to kind of do that. And then in addition to that, you can also drill. I don't know if you do like drilling at your gym. I would assume you do. At most Muay Thai gyms, they do. Really focus on that when you do the drilling, meaning like so you'll partner up with somebody, right? And they'll have a set combination that they have to throw. Maybe like a jab, cross, and then a low kick, right?
Aye.
Yeah, and then it'll be your job to kind of pick up the punches, right? So they throw the jab, you parry, the cross, you bridge, or maybe you parry the cross, and then maybe you check the low kick, right? Whatever your instructor has you do. Really try to focus then, because that's the way you're going to learn that. Obviously, in sparring, regardless of how like hard or soft you're going, there's a little bit of pressure there. So your body's going to revert to whatever it feels the most comfortable doing. It's when you're kind of doing that relaxed drilling, like I said, jab, cross, low kick, and then, picking up the jab, cross, low kick. That's where you're really going to hammer in the good habits that you need to make. Plus, those drills, depending on how you do them, they're basically like choreographed sparring in the first place, because you're acting and reacting the way that you would in a sparring situation, but you know what's coming in and you know what you have to do, right? The
For
whole
sure, yeah.
yeah, the whole like you made a joke. You said don't be a pussy, right, or something like
Yeah.
that. I know that
I'm
was
trying not to lie.
yeah, that was obviously a joke, and I wouldn't actually say like, oh, don't be a pussy, but um, there are certain things that when it comes down to it, you just got to kind of do them, and that's one of those things. And the way you're gonna do it is by taking baby steps. Start at the bottom floor and then keep on trying to work your way up. And that bottom floor, like I said, is gonna be like pad work and then drilling.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about? Any other questions or statements or anything like that?
Nah, I appreciate the advice. I mean, to be fair, like in the training that I do, I mean, I go there 2, perhaps 3 times a week. Um, yeah, part of the training is, just pad drills, right? Just,
Hmm.
being, holding pads for someone else or just, striking at someone holding pads. And to be fair, I've not actively sort of tried to keep my eyes open as I'm receiving those strikes while I'm holding pads. So to be fair, that's probably something I should start with.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. A lot,
yeah, sure.
a lot of instilling good habits is gonna be you actively deciding like, okay, I'm not going to do this, or if it's a good thing you need to be doing, like, okay, I'm going to do this.
Aye, for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, and to be fair, I think a lot of it is just experience, just do those over and over again until you're sort of you know you're getting to have the sense. Same with I think just kind of fighting in general, in the sense that I I know how to block a low kick, a cross, a hook, and all the kind of stuff, but recognizing them as they're coming in, right? That's kind of my issue in the sense that, you know, I kind of recognize it late in the sense that somebody throws a hook, and then by the time I recognize it and I realize to put my fist to my ear, it's a little bit too late. I end up catching it on the skull. And, if you get that often enough, you'll recognize the movement early enough and you'll be able to block it before it lands. But until then, I'll just keep on practicing, I suppose.
Oh yeah, and you said something that I found interesting, right? You're talking about recognizing specific punches and things like that, and or just specific attacks. And don't get me wrong, like it's good to be able to recognize those things. But and this is something Ramsey Dewey said that I always kind of understood, specifically about head movement, right? I'm very head movement heavy, even in Muay Thai, right? When somebody moves towards you, right, you don't necessarily need to focus on what exactly you think is coming in. You just need to know that something is coming in and you need to react to it. Now, you're going to react in a way that you think is going to be good, naturally, right? Like if I think a hook is coming in, I'm going to react as though a hook is coming in. So, I'll go, I'll answer the phone, right? Either that or I'll slip back or maybe I'll go underneath, right? You're gonna have to pick a direction. You're gonna have to pick something, right? But you're gonna find that even if you technically, on paper, picked wrong, it might not be so wrong that you end up getting clipped in a real way, right? Like when I react specifically with head movement, right? I don't know exactly what punch is coming in. I just know a punch is coming in and I need to get the hell out of there, right? And if you're watching me from the outside, you might think, oh, he knew that was going to be a jab. When in reality, it was like, actually, no, it could have been anything. I just knew, I saw him, kind of start to lead with that front shoulder. And I knew like, oh, okay, something's coming in. Let's get out of here, right? So there could be a potential that you're overthinking it just a little bit. And you're trying to absolutely positively make the right choice instead of just making a choice. And by the time you make the right choice, it's a little bit too late. And I think those two issues are not mutually exclusive. I think the closing your eyes thing could be directly related to you kind of trying to overthink it a little bit too much. So that's another angle that I want you to consider is when you're sparring, don't think you absolutely have to get the 100% right choice. Getting the 90% right choice or sometimes even the 80% right choice is sometimes just as good as the 100% because at the very least you're not getting hit, right? If that makes sense what I'm trying to say.
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean, not getting hit is presumably it's the highest priority, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, thanks a lot for the advice. I'll think on it and I'll do my best to implement it in my next training.
Yeah, no problem, man. Hope it goes well for you.
All right, appreciate it, man. I'll see you later.
Yep, have a good one. Nice. Yeah, that's one thing about fighting, right? We'll get right into the next. We'll read a couple of chats. We'll read like 2 chats, right? What I was gonna say, like when it comes down to it, like fighting is a lot of conscious decisions that you have to make that are going to go against what you naturally want to do, right? Excuse me. What happens a lot of the time when people get hit is they want to turn away, right? They want to turn away. They want to throw something out there, right? Because they want to protect their face, specifically the eyes, the nose, right? The teeth, things like that. But the thing is, getting hit here, that has a potential to shut you off. Getting hit in the back of the head, that's more dangerous than getting hit here, right? Your body does this weird thing where it prioritizes things in a clunky way. And because of that, you end up screwed up in one form or another, right? You have to consciously make the decision enough times that you're not going to turn away like this, and instead maybe you're going to move your head or you're going to, shell up this way, right? So that it becomes the natural reaction, right? if you guys watch my Halloween stream, we played Halloween themed flash games or horror themed flash games, and like some of them, I'm not gonna lie, were kind of fucking scary, dude. I'm not gonna lie to you, and you're gonna see I naturally feel safe, kind of like this. I'm like sitting here clicking through the game, and I'm like this, and it's because I've so many times punches have come flying in at me that I do that. It's just kind of natural, and I feel safe doing that instead of being like that or being like, oh, right. But yeah, there's one thing. What's the water bowl method? I'm actually interested in that too. Cosmic Habitat said in Thailand, guys do the water bowl trick. Thanks, Instagram Reels. I would assume maybe it's got something to do with like maybe you dip your hand in water and you do that, right? And like, because when you get hit with water, like you're naturally you're gonna do that, right? Maybe it's just a way to kind of train your brain to not like close your eyes when you get hit with something, right? I almost just poked myself in the eye. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna move on to the next one. That is okay. Hello.
Hello, Sensei.
What's going
How you
on,
doing?
man?
Nothing much. Good afternoon.
You as well.
I just want to say it was great seeing you on Fish Tank. I think everyone, I think the fish and production really enjoyed having you there, and the audience did as well. It was pretty interesting seeing you work with all the Zoomers and seeing how they would react to like being put in like the most physical situation they've ever been in their entire lives.
Thank you, man. I'm happy that you liked it. I'm happy that everybody liked it. Naturally, I wouldn't want to do something that people don't like. But still, all the love people have given me. Especially this season. All the love people have given me. I'm really thankful for it. Thank you, man.
Yeah, of course you deserve it. You put in the work, so I mean, it really shows that you care. But as for my questions, it's about going back to the Fish Tank Zoomers. They, I mean, a lot of them have like troubled histories, or there's like not in the best space in their lives going into the tank and stuff. So it was pretty interesting seeing like who kind of gritted their teeth and bared with the training and all that stuff, and the I guess the not harassment, but like the hazing in a sense. It was interesting seeing like who would step up to it and who would kind of break down after it or during it. But what have you experienced that a lot? Like in your practice, like in your gym, do people get really emotional and stuff? Have you seen some really wacky shit that you wouldn't expect from people after like rolling or sparring or training?
Um, every now and again, yeah, and I've been there too. For one thing, I kind of went through some like screwed up shit when I was a kid. So when I got into MMA, um, or really when I wrestled in high school, and then when I got into MMA after that, I kind of it was kind of a shock to the system, right? There's not really many things out there like fighting, so it kind of tells you who you are, and you can go in whatever direction you feel you need to go in after that. Um, um, what was I gonna say? Yeah, but like every now and again, you get somebody who like tensions flare, and they get upset. I've been there before, right? Sometimes you just have a really bad roll, and like you catch an elbow, and you get like upset about it, and you end up punching the mat or something like that. It happens,
Mm.
and it happens to everybody. Nobody is ever gonna be 100% every day. In the case of the fish tank fish, for one thing, like a lot of them had never considered doing martial arts in the first place, for one thing. And then also they're trapped in a house where, they're being messed with.
Yeah.
The martial arts classes that I did, like they were pretty stock, I will say that, but also, I wouldn't have pushed adults that far in my regular classes, because the thing is adults have the power to get up and walk out and get in their car and never come back, right? So
Yeah.
like the wall sit, doing the wall sit competition, or like just long ass wall sit segments for like a couple. I think I did it back to back. Like I probably wouldn't do that, you know. And then there's certain other exercises and things that I was like, I probably wouldn't do this in a regular class. But yeah, I mean to bring it back to your question, yeah, like sometimes tensions flare. You know, fighting is a primal thing, and it's also a metaphysical thing in my opinion. But you know, I don't want to get too spooky woo on you. Overall, like it's something that we understand in a certain part of our brain that existed before even speech existed, right? So because of that, tensions flare and people feel emotions and things like that, and it's hard to keep them in. You know, it's not like a game of baseball or basketball where it's like, okay, you know, it's not like this guy kicked my ass. Sure, he beat me like 100-50, fine, whatever. But it's not like he kicked my ass, you know. But in fighting, it's if you lose, that guy kicked your ass. So you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, if that makes sense, you're asking a good question, but it's also a question that can sometimes be a little like hard to answer, if that makes sense.
No, I get you. I mean, I actually don't mind getting into the metaphysical, spooky woo psychology crap that other people might not be interested in, because I mean, like when a guy like Jimmy, you would be scared to like see like what kind of emotions or what kind of place he can go into. Like just after seeing him, like he cannot control himself in a sparring match. He always goes 100%. So it's like, how did he get that way? It's crazy to think about like what led him to become like that.
Well, I mean, when it comes down to it, I think Jimmy just was not taught the right way. I said this in I didn't really partake in many of the Twitter spaces, right? But I did jump in, I think like one, maybe two of them. And in one of the spaces, I actually talked to Jimmy, and I think that Jimmy was taken advantage of by hucksters, right? I do think he went to an MMA gym or some kind of martial arts gym. I don't think it was for 12 years, at least not 12 consecutive years. And I think that he may have been taught some stuff by some people who were just like, yeah, whatever, I'll take this guy's money and I'll waste his time. In addition to that, I do like he told stories about being jumped by people and stuff like that. I think that may be something to do with it. I think he just kind of has a go pace that a lot of people who like they've been in like a lot of street fights have, you know, where they can't really tell the difference between you know, playing around and an actual fight.
Right.
You know, overall, like Jimmy, I don't think Jimmy is like a bad guy per se, but
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, he has issues where you said he can't control himself. I do think he can't control himself during sparring, but I think he actually has a lot of self-control. And what I mean by that is, you notice he didn't go after anybody like me, right? Or even like he didn't go after.
He has good risk assessment.
Exactly, he has good risk assessment. He saved the angry outbursts for women who are half his size and are not really fighters. Like he went at Tay a little bit, but it was more just shit talk, and then he backed the fuck off. And it's because Tay was openly, meaning Taylor was like openly like, hey, fuck off, right? And I think he kind of realized like, oh, this person will really fight. As opposed to Taylor, right? Who Taylor was being combative towards him, but not in the way that Taylor was. Taylor was kind of doing the female thing where it's like, I'm not going to call you a bitch. I'm not going to openly be like, fuck you, but I'm going to throw fucking bread at you to like annoy you, right? That's why I actually, even though I didn't like when Jimmy did that, I wasn't 100% like, dude, kick him the fuck out, because Taylor she knew what she was doing there. You know, she knew what was going on. She knew what she was going for, right? And she got it.
Yeah.
You know? But like Jimmy it's like you said, he had good risk assessment, right? So I think it's kind of a combination of him being more intelligent than a lot of people want to give him credit for, while also being a little bit unstable, and not picking up on certain things at certain times, you know? What was I gonna say? Man, there was something I was gonna say. I've said it about him before, but I completely forget what I was gonna say, and I don't think it's gonna come back to me. But that's for the most part how I kind of feel about the Jimmy situation on Fish Tank.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. I guess this rolls into the next question I had. From what you've seen of the younger generation, the youngins, I guess Zoomers and Gen Alpha, maybe not Gen Alpha yet, since they're still in high school, I think. But what do you think about the youth? Do you think they're gonna make it? Do you think they're gonna be okay? Do you have any like advice for them coming into this kind of a new world that is like with unprecedented new issues and things that no one's ever seen before?
For one thing, I think for the most part, everybody kind of ends up okay. I said earlier, nobody gets out of life alive, right? And I don't think I know anybody who, like, they got old and they looked back and they were like, oh, I regret so much. If they regret something, it usually is like, oh, I wish I wish I fucked more bitches. I wish I did more drugs. Like, it's usually some shit like that, right?
Yeah.
With that said, though, I would say learn what battles to fight and how to fight them. Because that is a mistake that the millennial generation, specifically the late millennial generation, of which I am a part. I am just barely not an old Zoomer myself. I remember 2016, we were all riding high, you know, Kekistan, haha, yeah.
Yeah.
That was stupid as shit. It was fun.
It was a little cringy.
It was fun at the time. It was dumb as shit, right?
Yeah.
In addition to that, it set people up to be fucked over in serious ways. And it turned into nothing. It turned into a vacuous cringe meme that we now look back at 8 years later and think, wow, what the fuck were we doing? And me personally, I didn't own a flag. I wasn't running around like, oh, I'm a proud ethnic Kekistani. That wasn't even me. But
You're not a Boogaloo boy with the Kek flag in the background?
Yeah. I thought it was fun. I thought it was funny, but like I wasn't going that hard with it, right?
Yeah.
But the world is fucked up right now. We are not doing that well. It's gonna get worse. That's the reality. How worse? I don't know. Right? We might all be okay for the most part, but I think it will get worse. Right? Learn what needs to be done now and in the future. And what needs to be done now and in the future is you need to work on trying to make yourself the best version of yourself that you can. You need to work on trying to live a life where you're going to have an effect on the world around you for the better. And try your best to not burn bridges, even with people that are shitheads to some degree, right? There was this guy, right? I talked about him a couple streams ago. He was going to law school, and he got kicked out of law school for posting, I think it was like, it's okay to be white posters around his college. No. Yeah. No. And it's like, hey, man, you own the libs. Congratulations. You're not going to get into another college. That ain't going to happen. But at least you own the libs. That guy, by now, he would have been a lawyer who could have stood up for the civil rights of people who are having their shit, like, pushed in by scumbags, right? That could have happened. He could have done good things for, if not his side of the aisle, he could have done good things for his community. He could have been an upstanding member of his community. He could have just been a good dude, a heckin' good dude, right? But he wanted to be running around owning the libs by putting up posters, and now, years removed from that incident, I don't know what he's got, but I know it ain't a law degree, and I know his quality of life is probably not what it would have been if he had gotten his law degree. So the dude probably should have calmed his ass down, went to law school, and then tried to fight the battle that way. Tried to fight the battle as a lawyer, as opposed to some cringe college kid who pissed off some people who 2 weeks later they completely forgot about the incident anyway, right?
It's true. It's true. I mean, it is very cringe to do stuff like that, but at the same time, I don't want to call people in college kids because it's very infantilizing. Like,
I think they're kids.
They are kids. It's hard because when I was in college, I was kind of cringy, but I wasn't like that bad. But I can see a situation where someone who is like 20, 19, 21, they're cringy, they do one thing like that, put those posters up on their college, and their lives are completely changed forever. But then, like, if they had just not done that, and 10 years later they would have realized, wait, I was a fucking idiot. It's the repercussions for being dumb when you're younger now are like they're insane. When you make one terrible mistake now, and the rest of your life might be ruined just from being a stupid kid.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that, you know, and that's something that you know, that late millennial generation was kind of the first to really understand that, but we still didn't really completely appreciate it. And sure enough, cancel culture came around just in time to hit both us as well as the Zoomer generation. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with Gen Alpha. One thing I have noticed, though, I will say, is I feel like the culture is kind of swinging back to a degree. There's certain things I see people saying that would have gotten them canceled and things like that. Perfectly normal things. It's not like they're hailing certain mid-century German leaders and things like that, right? It's not like they're doing that. They're just saying like regular ass things that because there's weirdos out there who had a certain amount of institutional power that was like bad, I guess, or something like that. And nothing bad is happening, right? I do think the culture is starting to shift. And I think, again, that's kind of what makes it so important is to instill, whether you're a parent or if you're somebody that like, you know, one of these people looks up to, it's important to instill a healthy sense of culture. And that means multiple things in these generations that are in high school, college, and, you know, even like middle school and things like that, right? It's important to get them to understand that there's a right and a wrong way to go about things, and you know, even if you're gonna be rebellious and things like that, there can be better ways to be rebellious, you know.
Right.
It's making music is 1,000% better than making social media posts, for instance, right? Making art is 1,000% better than making like social media posts or putting up posters and things like that. You know, it's important that even though like obviously kids are gonna take chances and they're gonna do things that they're gonna look back at and be like, what the fuck did I do that for? I have those things too, obviously. It's important to try your best to you know, it's not important. It's important for them to recognize like there's a winning move and then there's a losing move, and they might as well do the winning move instead of the losing move. They have to play to win, right? And that's also what the millennials and the Gen Xers and even the boomers, the decreasing number of them that there are, they need to play to win too. And part of that is not pushing those kids away and things like that. Not just being like, oh, what are you, a fucking idiot? Oh, when they say something that may not be 1,000% correct, because that's an issue that I had. That's an issue with like a lot of kids is their parents are dickheads, or like authority figures are dickheads, and because of that, they end up going to college, or like they find somebody who grooms them. Right? An 18-year-old kid gets groomed by a college professor because their dad was a dickhead, and they were like, well, fuck you, dad. And then they find a father figure in some dickhead college professor who really just wants to utilize them for their own political gain. That's what happens with a lot of these people. They have like dickhead boomer parents that are like, oh, what do you know? You're an idiot kid. And then they go off to college, and then their professor's like, You know a lot. You're special. You're valid. You're good. Hey, here's Marxist theory. Hey, you know what would be really
Right.
cool if you came to me to the Antifa rally?
Damn, yeah. I've seen it happen a few times when I was in school. It's hard to watch.
Yeah, it's fucked up. You know, people are fucked up. But you know, when it
For
comes
sure.
down to it, you know, children are the future. So you gotta, you know, you gotta try your best with them. You know.
For sure. All right, I won't take up too much more time. Last question, the hard-hitting one, the one that everyone wants to know. Your favorite fast food slop place, what is it?
Oh man, that's a good one. I'd say probably a tie between Wendy's and Chick-fil-A because I like everything that Wendy's has for the most part. Thank you, Spike Protein. I like everything that Wendy's has for the most part. I also like that they have a $5 biggie bag, which is really cool. I haven't eaten there in a long time though. I haven't eaten fast food in a while. But then Chick-fil-A is Chick-fil-A, so you know that's it's really hard to not have that one way high up. You know, it actually tastes like real food as opposed to most
It's
other
true.
places where you feel like you're just eating a meat disc. You know.
Very true. All right, that's all I wanted to pick your brain for. Thank you so much for doing all this, dude.
Oh yeah, thank you, man. Have a good one.
Yeah, take it easy. Peace.
Peace. All right. So I'll read a couple of these. I'll read a couple of chats, and then we'll go ahead and we'll get the next person in. There's only one person in there right now, so that'll probably be the last person. Spike Protein for $10 with the hundreds. Thank you very much, man. Thank you for the $10. Tank Davis versus Shakur Stevenson. Who's winning? I'm not sure because I really don't pay attention to boxing in that way. You know, I know who Tank Davis and Shakur Stevenson are, but I don't really know that much about him. I know Tank Davis is hot right now. I know that much. Men are not supposed to act emotional like that. It comes from trauma, but all you can do is forgive your aggressors. Yeah, even if you don't forgive your aggressors, you have to take responsibility for yourself in the moment, and that means not giving into your emotions, which is it's easier and harder said than done when it comes down to it because you know, on one hand, like when I say that to people, when I tell them, "Hey, you have to take responsibility for yourself," what they hear and what I used to hear too before I started taking responsibility for myself is you have to blame yourself for what happened. What happened is your fault and you need to admit it. That's what people hear when you say you need to take responsibility for yourself. And that's obviously not what is actually meant. What is really meant is that you need to understand that what happened to you happened and it's not okay, but now, today is a new day. And you can either act like what happened, you can either act in accordance with what happened yesterday, or you can treat today like a new day and make each decision from that standpoint that it is a new day, it is no longer an issue. What happened earlier, even if I'm still hurt, even if I'm still angry about it, I need to make my decisions from the standpoint of this being a new day and me being one day older at the very least, right? One day wiser, one day removed from the thing that ended up happening, right? Now, that doesn't mean that if something traumatic happens a day later, you have to be completely and totally fine. Obviously not. You know, everybody grieves in their own little way. But when it comes down to it, you need to try your best to move on. And yeah, like I said, it's simultaneously easier and harder said than done. No problem, bro. Thanks for the advice earlier. Hey, man, anytime. All right, so we got one more person we're going to throw in here. Hello?
Hey,
What's going on, man? How you doing?
it's going good. It's going good. So yeah, I got a few questions. I guess one of them kind of requires a little bit of background. If you don't mind me going into that.
What's that?
But yeah, I got a few questions. Kind of
Yeah.
wanted to ask you about, life and shit. Just a little bit of background. It adds to the question. I'm a
Okay.
23-year-old. I'm a licensed electrician. Got a full career. Plan to move out of my parents' fucking house soon. Get my own shit going. And I'm hanging out with my friends from high school and middle school from my town and shit, and it's just hard to talk to some of them because they don't do shit. Like I got a best friend. Like I love this kid. I love him to death. He's been working at a bagel shop for the past 6 years, and he's not gonna leave. I got kids that graduate with me in high school, and they're still in their parents' basement doing fuck all, and it's weird, and it's hard to talk to some of them and well love them because it's like, oh man, how you doing? I'm like, yeah, I'm doing great. I made fucking a fuck ton of money recently. I'm doing X, Y, and Z, and I'm like, how you doing? I'm like, yeah, I'm doing good. Still in my parents' basement. It's weird, and I don't really know how to, work with that. I don't really know how to deal with that sometimes. It's kind of weird. I wonder if you got any insight on that.
Yeah, so my brother is also an electrician. He's a little bit older than you. I think he's like 27 now, maybe. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure he's 27. He and I, but we both went through the same thing, right? The thing is, I was kind of one of those guys, right? I'll be honest with you. I didn't go to college. I didn't learn a trade or anything like that. I was one of the guys who was hanging around just like smoking cigs and weed and shit like that. I was kind of a loser in my late teens, early 20s. Not gonna lie. My brother, he hung around with a lot of people, and I don't like. Look, these are guys that I am. Thank you, Anonymous. Thank you very much. But these are guys who I don't hate them, and like I would like to see them again and things like that. But I wouldn't necessarily want to hang out with them like I used to. So it's kind of. I don't want to like talk down about them, but I kind of have to be honest about them. They weren't good people for me to be hanging out with, and they weren't good people for my brother to be hanging out with. And I think that since my brother has stopped hanging out with them, it has gotten better for him. He is healthier now. He's healthier than me right now. He eats healthy. He stays away from soda and junk food for the most part and stuff like that. He stopped smoking weed. Doesn't really drink or anything like that. Really, like, I know I'm sitting here telling you, like, bro, ditch your friends, bro, but I gotta be honest with you, it kind of helped me a little bit. And it also helped my brother. And the thing is, like, those friends, you said it yourself, they aren't doing anything. So if you stopped hanging out with them and your life absolutely fell apart and you realized, like, oh shit, like, dude, like, I actually need these guys in my life. If that is the thing that happened, you said it yourself. They're gonna be doing the same thing for the rest of their life. You know where to find them, you know.
Yeah,
Just go
no, I
go to the bagel shop, and you're good, you know.
yeah, no, I guess that's a good point. Shit, yeah, it's just I don't know. It's just kind of fucking weird. It's like, oh, it's also weird because like I'm 23 and I have my career set for life. Like I have stuff I'm gonna do till I'm like 60, or if I die fucking early. I don't know. It's just fucking weird, man. It's stuff nothing that they never prepared for you in school and shit. That like, yeah, you're gonna choose something, you're gonna do it till you fucking die, and that's it.
Yeah, and that's
But
kind of
yeah,
that's kind of the quandary, right? That's kind of the thing that happens with tradesmen, right? You get really good jobs. My brother could have bought a house when he was like 19, 20. It was insane. He was making so much money. It's crazy. And now he's a master electrician, and I can only imagine what he's pulling in. But like, it doesn't require you to go to foreign lands, right? You graduate high school, you go to college, you go live somewhere, right? And even though it's like a huge waste of money, it's a giant scam, at the very least, it's experience that takes you out of your hometown, right? And because
yeah,
of that, what happens with a lot of people is they kind of get that bug where they're like, "Ah, dude, I need to get out of here, dude. Dude, I can't go back to my hometown. I want to get the fuck out of here, you know." And because of that, like, people make sure that they have something going on. Now, like I said, college is a scam. You end up with a bunch of debt to learn about like lesbian dance theory. All right, fine, whatever. But at the very least, it's like you're not hanging out. You're not hanging out at the same bars with the same dudes that like when they're not hanging out at the bar, they're hanging out outside the quick stop like Jay and Silent Bob, you know. Um,
Yeah.
so that's kind of, I've noticed that's kind of what happens with tradesmen is you know, because they just kind of, they don't have to go to far away lands, and they don't have to, like, you know, worry about like tons of stuff that people who go to college do. They're kind of like the alpha townies in a way, where it's like the difference between you and your friends is that you were smart enough to be like, hey, why don't I, like, you know, why don't I actually do
Yeah.
something with myself, you know? But like,
Yeah.
oh no,
And,
go
and I
ahead.
feel that a lot. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I feel that a lot because, like, I've been living in the same town I was born and raised in, and it's like I know that piece of shit. I know him. I know him. I know his family, and I'm driving through town going to work. I'm like, gosh, I don't. I gotta get the fuck out of here. It's like, yeah, it's like I know everyone. Everyone knows me, and it's like I'm already looking at moving way the fuck down south. 'Cause I live in Massachusetts, by the way, and I'm already looking at getting the fuck out of here.
Oh shit.
And it's kind of hard because, yeah, my family, like born and raised, my whole family's been generations in Worcester since they immigrated here from Canada and Ireland. It's like in Worcester their whole lives. I'm a little farther away from Worcester, and it's like I've told my parents, like, hey, thinking of going down south. I'm like, well, how could you do that? Like, we're all here, and I'm like, because I need space. I need to move. Like, my family reigns entirely from New Hampshire to Mass, and that's it.
Hmm.
And it's just, yeah, it's like try and talk to them about, like, yeah, I mean, when I do Luke to move out, I'll be looking like hundreds of miles away. And when I try to talk to them about it, they kind of just like change the conversation or like push it down. And it's like, I mean, it's just gonna be hard because, like, when I go to do it, they're gonna be like surprised, I guess, when they actually do it.
Hmm.
And all my friends are gonna be too, and all the towny shits I hang out with still. I don't know. It's just weird. It's fucking like, I guess it's just part of growing up. I guess that's what weird is. But yeah, it's just fucking. It just seems fast. For 23. I don't know. My whole family moved out of their parents' houses and shit and got their lives going when they were like mid-30s. My dad lived at his grandma's house until he was 30.
Hmm.
It's just weird. And no one. I don't know. I got nobody else to like bounce shit off them about it with.
No,
If you can get that.
I get what you're saying, and I mean, if you feel like you want to and you have to move that far away, then you should. You shouldn't let anyone stop you. I wouldn't mind getting the hell out of Massachusetts and moving somewhere like far. It's
Oh
something I've
yeah.
talked to with the wife and things like that. Now, me, like, I don't want to have to be that far from my parents, but also at the same time, I'm like, yeah, but at the end of the day, like, I can drive or fly or whatever, right? One thing I
Yeah.
will say is that it doesn't have to be that far either. Like, just moving one town over, you would be amazed how much your horizons will open up in terms of not having to be around like weirdos and shit like that. Because, the weirdo clique in each town is very insular. You're typically not going to move to a new town and end up in the weirdo clique, right? Um,
Yeah.
so like me, like I spent 25 years in my hometown. Maybe no, like 26. Jeez. I don't even remember. Like I spent like 26 years in my hometown. Eventually what happened when I started getting my life together is I just ditched everybody in my hometown and I just stayed inside all day, right? Which I actually learned to enjoy. Now I don't like going anywhere, but fucking um when I ended up moving out of my town, like it solved that issue for me because not that I was hanging out with people before, but like I moved just far enough away as to where I got a fresh kind of perspective and I was living in a place that I didn't 100% recognize and things like that. And excuse me, I ended up moving closer to where I grew up, but not back there exactly. And because of that, um, well, not because of that. It's I'm making like I'm about to say something different. But um, what was I gonna say? you know, like I'm very close to where I grew up, but also at the same time, I'm not where I grew up, and because of that, there's this place that like by now it's familiar to me, but I also I'm not I don't know who the weirdos are and
Yeah,
things like that, right?
yeah.
I know what
You
I'm
got new
trying to.
roots.
Yeah, exactly. I guess that's kind of what I was trying to say. I was having a hard time actually getting that out, but yeah, don't discount what moving a town over could do to you. And if it comes
Yeah,
down to it, like move a couple towns over, right? I think when I
yeah,
moved out, I moved like 4 towns from where I used to live. I was like a half hour, 45 minutes from where I grew up, and it was nice. It was nice. It was cool. So
yeah.
yeah, like
No,
no, go ahead, go ahead.
I definitely. I'm sorry. I don't mean to keep and cut you off, but like I definitely feel that, man. But like I'm a I'm a big gun guy, and like I just want to get out of Mass. I want to get out of Mass. I want to get out of just New England in general. I know New Hampshire's nice, but in my line of work, like electrical, there's fuck all in New Hampshire. Like the last company I worked at, they were firing guys. 'Cause, like, and they stood on the principle we will never fire you unless you're a fuckhead. We will never lay you off. And I left about a few months ago, and they just fired 50 guys in New Hampshire. There's just no work for me up there, and yeah, I'm looking to go down to like Virginia and below, just mostly for it's more my style of life. I'm a redneck piece of shit. I'm a fucking hillbilly fuck in Central Mass, which is kind of like a fish out of water. And I'm looking to go way the fuck down south. But yeah, no, I definitely get what you're saying of just moving the town over. I mean, that's kind of what my dad did. My dad moved. I'm not sure you're familiar with Worcester, but he moved to like the next right town over. He moved right next town over. Probably one of the most Republican towns near Worcester, if you're familiar with Worcester at all. But yeah, no, I definitely get what you're saying with that. I don't know if I cut you off mid sentence. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Fucking yeah. I mean, what I was gonna say is like before you make the move down south, move somewhere out of your hometown and see how that feels. And then if you still feel that itch, then like you can move down south because the thing is. It's not like tomorrow you're just gonna pack your bags and head down there, right? You're gonna have to do a
Yeah,
bunch of things like transfer your license, for instance, right? Um,
yeah,
yeah, you're gonna it's gonna take time. So if it comes down to it, you sign a 6 month or a year lease, and you make the decision like let's say it's a year lease, you make the decision like 6 months, 8 months in, you'll have some time. You'll have some time to be able to like start getting some things together and maybe try and establish connections down there in one form or another. Hunt for a place. And plus, like once a lease is up, it doesn't mean you get kicked out. You typically, anyway.
yeah,
Usually people will go with what they know when they're renting to somebody, and so it's a situation where once the lease is up, you can just continue to plan, and then whenever you're ready to go, you just give them the 30 days and you head down there.
yeah. I feel that. I feel that. Yeah, I like that. I don't know if you got any more to say in this topic, but I had another question that's totally different from this. Unless you got something else to add to this.
Okay.
So what's your thoughts on chicks with deep Boston accent? I dated one during the summer. I have not heard a single guy with deeper Boston accent than her. And she was from Dorchester, short as fuck, bright red hair. I loved it. What are your thoughts on chicks with like deep, just fucking deep, dirty Boston accents?
Yeah, I mean it's really cute until you're fucking them and they say, "Yeah, fuck me hard, fuck me hard.
Yeah,
Oh my
dude.
god, you're fucking me hard right now. Oh
Dude,
jeez,
that's the part I
dude, you're
like.
fucking me. Oh,
That's the part I fucking like, which is the worst part of that.
oh man, you're a sick fuck, man. Damn, bro.
Damn, dude. Dude, it'd be worse because I've yet worked the next day and I hear, give me that fucking vegetable. It's like, yeah, she kind of sounds like her. Fuck.
Oh jeez, dude. Oh man. I mean, hey, if that's
Yeah,
that's what you're into, man. I ain't gonna tell you you're not allowed to be. I'm just
yeah.
I don't know if it's my cup of tea. I like accents and things like that. And the Boston accent,
Oh,
I don't hate it, but there's situations where I'm just like, ah man, I should not be listening to this guttural noise right now.
I don't know, man. I just always loved it. I just always have, all my friends are like, "You're fucking. What are you, some kind of queer? Like that's retarded." I'm like, I like it. It's my jam. I'm talking to guys at work. They're like, "You're fucking psychotic." I'm like, I don't know.
That's
But yeah, no, it's just I don't know. I guess it's what I'm into.
that's the most Boston
I'm in,
thing I think I've ever heard is like you tell someone that and they're like, "What are you, a fucking queer kid? You like women? What do you mean you like women? What are you,
you like,
fucking queer or something, kid?"
yeah, yeah. You like women that sound like dudes? What the fuck? What are you fucking retarded?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh fuck. But yeah, I mean, shit, man. It's kind of it. I was gonna fucking ask you questions about Jimmy, but the last guy kind of hit that head that hit that shit straight on.
Ah,
But
okay.
yeah, I guess all I got left to say is just fucking. I guess my respects to the fact you're a Chick-fil-A man. You're a man of good taste. I love that shit. Everything
Yeah.
else is wrong.
Oh yeah, you can't beat Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. All right. Well, shit, man. That's all I got. I guess I'll catch you on the flip side, big guy.
Oh yeah, man. Peace out. All right, so we got one more person in the waiting room. We'll go ahead and we'll let him in. We'll do it right away, and then it'll be a really quick call, and then we'll get the hell out of here. I'm gonna go ahead. I should hold on one sec. Sorry. Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead. I don't know what to say. Um. Okay, we'll do that. We'll go ahead and we'll do that. I should have put something in there to let people know that we're not going to be doing any more call-ins. And since this person, plus I'm pretty sure I know who this person is. They're cool, so we'll let them in. But yeah, I'm slowly starting to learn how to actually do these call-ins. All right, I'm slowly getting better and better at them. Um. Sorry, I'm texting the wife. Yo,
Hey,
what's going on, man? How you been?
Scott, what's going on, man? Good to hear from you.
Hell yeah.
Literally
I
just hit you
got
up on Twitter, and then I saw your stream.
yeah, I got your Twitter messages and like I meant to get back to you the first time, but there was just so much going on that I kept putting that on the back burner. So my bad about that. I did see your messages. I wasn't trying to be Hollywood or anything.
No, man, you're a busy man. I hear you, dude. No, I wanted to pick your brain because I saw a reel too recently, and I feel like you'll know what I'm talking about when I say it was like a 5'4" like Brazilian girl kicking a bag. And I thought it was so funny, and I wanted to send it to you on Instagram because I was like, hey guys, because I'm working roofing sales now, and I got a bunch of these young guys hitting me up saying, like, hey man, I want to learn, I want to start doing BJJ, I want to start doing Muay Thai, kickboxing, whatever. And the thing I have to tell them is like, hey man, the girl at this class, if you run into a girl that works at the gym, and she's working the kids class, this is how hard she's going to kick you on your first day. Just be ready for that. Be ready to get kneed in the prostate. So with one of the last times that we spoke, man, we were talking about the path to like actually taking a fight. And specifically with you've been breaking down recently a lot of these mismatches. You were talking about like John Jones' career, and you did the same thing when we talked about Sugar Sean's career, because it's been becoming kind of apparent that in the UFC a lot of these fights are kind of like, I think it'd be bold to maybe say rigged, but they're like fixed. And you have on multiple occasions kind of brought up these unique perspectives. Well, you'll point out these mismatches and we've talked about the whole I'll fight anyone, anywhere, anytime mentality. But for someone that may be past their like younger years, like you weren't like 16 in a boxing gym or like a jujitsu pro or wrestling prodigy or something, but as far as the future career of fighting, for a lot of us guys who know that we want to take a fight, who know that it's an itch. You know, it's like for me, it's felt like, oh well, I can't get around that problem. That I know, you know, I'm not 18 anymore, but I know I want to take a fight and kind of the future of career fighting. I wanted to hear more about how you would approach that um, going forward for yourself, your advice for guys that may be still a little bit younger and knowing that they want to do it, but haven't had any sort of history of like, besides like sparring, you know, they haven't done sub amateur fights, they haven't done amateur fights, obviously pro fights, anything like that. Advice for like guys my age, you know, 27, 25, who are looking to get more involved but still build a career in that direction.
So if you're 27, 28, and you haven't been training, if you're just getting into training, don't even think about a career. If you want to fight, that's cool, right? But don't think you're really gonna go anywhere with it. It's a little bit too late to try to like, you know, make anything real of it. Um, but I mean, if you're like, you know, 18, 19, 20, you know, so on and so forth, and you weren't training before then, really, I mean, it's just as simple as getting into a gym and you know, just training your ass off. Other than that, you're gonna want to be careful to take the proper fights. You know, kind of what I was talking about with the dude a little while ago, and then also what I was talking a little bit about when we spoke in the past. Um, you know, it you know, like you got to do your due diligence, right? You need to know who you're going to be getting into the ring or cage with, and you need to make sure they actually make sense for you. You know, you don't have to take every fight that's ever offered your way and things like that, because being a promoter is tough, and the easier it is, the better. So you're gonna end up just pairing people up arbitrarily based off of like what you think is going to serve your interests, and also who you think is going to say yes to who, right? So you don't want to be on the losing end of one of those situations where someone's like, oh well, you know, I don't want to have to think about this too hard, I guess we'll just go ahead and pair these two guys up, and it turns out you're fighting a monster, you know.
Yeah, man. And when I saw your tweet about John Jones, that one hit me hard because here I was seeing all these like cap cut edits about him or whatever, where having this entire like new perspective on it when you pointed out that he had his size advantage, reach advantage, whatever it may be, versus a long history of fighting these guys who were at the end of their career. And a lot like the conversations that we've had in the past, where it's like people don't care. Like most people don't do that sort of research. They don't literally look past the like NFL midwittery of whatever, you know, they're there with their friends from their jujitsu gym eating pizza and drinking Bud Light or whatever. The only thing they see is who wins and who loses, and the only person they care about is the guy who wins.
Yeah, it's a cruel mistress, you know. I know of dudes who like they're mad good. You know, they like I know of a dude we fought at a smoker. And then years later he would end up becoming like the amateur champion for Lion Fight, and then he would go pro, and he'd have multiple fights in Thailand. Like this dude is like really good. Really like tough as nails, probably like the hardest chin I've ever seen, like hands down. Um, and if you Googled this dude's name, I won't say his name because I don't know if he'd appreciate that. I don't even think he likes me very much, but if you Googled his name and you saw his Tapology, you'd see a bunch of losses on his record. And people don't understand that like those were hard fought fucking battles where they were back and forth. They were really good fights. You weren't sure who was gonna win up until the other guy won, right? In addition to that, it was also like, the beginning of his career before he hit his stride for real and things like that. But you wouldn't know that if you just saw the numbers. And because of that, if you saw, you'd make the mistake of thinking that you could look past this guy if you had to fight him. And then you'd get in the cage or the ring or wherever they happen to be fighting, and he'd sweep you. And you'd end up on your ass, and you'd know right then, like, fuck, I'm in for it. And then he'd really take it to you, Because he's just one of those dudes who's not fun to fight at all. He gets in your face and he just fucking lets you have it, Win, lose, draw. It's not gonna be fun fighting him. But again, like, not to talk in circles. I'm trying to do this guy justice by explaining who he is without saying his name. But like. On the flip side of that, like, people would see him and they'd be like, dude, he's not good. He's not good, bro. He sucks. He's not good. People say the same thing about me. I see what people on, like, certain message boards and things like that have to say about me. And it's like, I really don't give that much of a shit. I think people are stupid as hell. But at the end of the day, there's really not much I can even say about it, even if I wanted to say something about it, because they're just going to bring up numbers, and it's like, well, yeah, you don't know what actually happened in those fights, though, and it can be frustrating, but that's just the reality of the fight world, right?
Yeah, man. And as far as fights go, I don't. It seems the kind of landscape of it seems to be shifting a little bit. I don't know if you've seen any of these like tiny event matchups that people have been doing. You got shit like street beefs that it's getting more popular, and then you've just got generally people. I don't post my bag work anymore because I think it's kind of cringe to just be like hitting an inanimate object and showing that to people. But I'm interested to see as the kind of landscape of it continues to change, and kind of like I'm staying fit, obviously staying active, all that stuff. But yeah, man, I know I caught you on the tail end of your stream. I appreciate you taking my call, man.
Oh yeah, no problem, man. Was there anything you wanted to shill or anything like that, or anything you wanted to say in closing?
Shill, not necessarily, man. Just everyone, stay active. Keep it up. I think these are kind of boring times, I would say, but it's really within us and the kind of power to change it and keep our heart rate up and keep shit moving. Like, there's really motion and action aren't the same, I feel like for me, at least during this period, the main thing I have to pay attention to is if I'm being a busy idiot, as Sam Hyde sometimes puts it, which he's quoting Gordon Ramsay there, and actually redirect my energy towards shit that matters, because it's like being a worrywart and focusing on like little micro optimizational shit. It's a great distraction, but it's like wanting to accomplish more, wanting to do more, that hunger's pretty residual. I feel like for a lot of guys in our kind of sub niche here, that's pretty characteristic, is like knowing they want more, wanting to achieve more, wanting to do more, wanting to get more active, but avoiding the bullshit. And so I don't necessarily have anything of my own to shill yet. I mean, if anyone's seeing this, you can follow me on Twitter or whatever. But truthfully, man, I'm not, even at this age, I'm not super concerned with like scaling my socials or whatever these like core sellers are talking about, or e-com. Like, I just want to keep doing cool shit, and I like that. That's something that we're paying attention to. So no, that's it.
Okay, cool.
Sweet, man. Well, it was good to hear from you. Yeah, just hit me up. I'm gonna keep bothering you, but I appreciate you taking my call, man.
Yeah, no problem, man. Have a good one. Peace out.
Peace out, brother.
if you saw me sitting here like this, like, you know, clearly doing something, it's because I was trying to pull up his socials because he said, you know, like, follow him on Twitter, but he didn't have his Twitter up. His handle is at TMac_JM. TMac being TMAC. So yeah, he's a cool dude. I've talked to him a couple of times. I'm probably gonna talk to him again soon. You know, on a little project that he's you know, putting together and stuff like that. He's a cool guy. You should follow him. But yeah, so that was a good stream. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I hope you guys did as well, right? It was, like I said, I won't say it was an impromptu stream, right? I did kind of wake up this morning thinking I was going to stream, but I wasn't 1,000% sure of what shape this stream was going to take. I think the call-in streams have been going very well, and I think I'm going to do them more. I'm not saying I'm going to... I'm not saying they're going to be like a weekly thing necessarily, but they're going to be decently often. All right, so if you have any advice you want from me, whether it's MMA related or not, if you have anything you want to talk about with me, right? If you know anyone who has issues or they want advice or they want to talk about something, send them my way. Send them to these streams, okay? And you know, we'll go ahead and we'll do it up, you know, because like I said, I want this to grow. I want this to be something that's going to be good and that will spread, right? So yeah, there's that. Thank you guys for showing up, man. Thanks for showing up, man. Thank you guys for showing up. I really appreciate it. And yeah, the next stream will be Friday, and I have a couple of things that I'm working on, one of which should be out a little bit later this week. So yeah, stay tuned. Peace out.